You know what's wild? Most people spend their entire lives working with money, but they've never actually understood how it works. Not the textbook definition. I'm talking about the real system, the invisible architecture that decides whether you'll struggle or sleep peacefully at night. Here's the thing, nobody explains it, because the people who benefit most from you not knowing, they're the ones writing the rules. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how you've been playing a game without ever learning the actual rules. My name is Joe, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why some people seem to master this system while others get crushed by it. If you're ready to finally understand the hidden mechanics that determine whether you build wealth or spend your life trapped in debt, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you see through the illusion. Now, let me ask you something. What is money? Most people say it's a medium of exchange, a store of value, and that's technically true, but it's incomplete. Because really, money is just trust. It's a collective agreement that this piece of paper or these numbers on a screen have value. Fiat currencies like the dollar have no intrinsic worth. Their value depends entirely on public confidence. And that's the first illusion. When you get a paycheck, you're not getting wealth, you're getting a claim on wealth, a promise. The moment people stop believing in that promise, it evaporates. If tomorrow everyone woke up and decided the dollar wasn't worth anything, it wouldn't be. The government couldn't stop it. It only works because we all agree it works. But here's where it gets really interesting. Centuries ago, a small group realized that if they could control that agreement, that trust, they could control everything. And so they did. They built banking systems and institutions to make money seem mystical, something you couldn't possibly understand, and it worked. Most people never question what money is. They just use it. And if they don't have enough, they blame themselves. That's not an accident. That's by design. Now, before we dive into how the banking system actually works, I want to address something that keeps most people trapped. The stories in your head about money. Do you remember when you were a little kid? The horror story, the scary story, the spooky story, the boogeyman hiding in the closet? Someone planted those thoughts in your mind. And someone planted those thoughts about money in your mind as well. That it's hard to get money, that rich people are bad, that you have to do something bad to make money. And it's one thing to make money, and it's very difficult to keep money. And if you make the money and now you lose it, then you look really, really stupid. This is simply not true. Money is neutral. There's nothing wrong or evil about money. You probably have a story in your mind right now about health, about success, about life, and also about money. You have a story in your mind right now, and guess who created those stories? Could be your parents, could be your relatives, could be the people that you know you love, your brothers and sisters, your cousins. It doesn't matter, but you picked up those stories from somewhere. These stories shape your relationship with money before you've even made your first dollar. And that's exactly what the system wants. Because when you believe money is evil or that rich people are bad, you unconsciously sabotage yourself from ever having enough. You feel guilty when you get it. You feel ashamed when you talk about it. And here's the thing that will blow your mind. The people who are struggling with money, they're afraid to talk about money, and believe me, they do talk about money. Do your parents argue over money? Do you argue over money with your loved one, your spouse, your boyfriend and girlfriend? I remember one of the few times in my life that I saw my mom cried was because we ran out of money. Money moves to those who are not afraid to talk about it. The more you treat money like this shameful, taboo topic, the more power you give it over your life. Think about it this way. Imagine if you enjoyed talking about basketball. Would you be ashamed to talk about basketball with your friends, your buddies? No, you wouldn't. Then why would you be ashamed talking about money? But wait, here's the part that'll really open your eyes. When you deposit money in a bank, the bank doesn't just keep it, it loans it out. This system is called fractional reserve banking, where banks are only required to hold a fraction of their deposits in reserve. And here's what's actually happening. The bank lends out money that doesn't exist yet. They create it digitally by making loans. Every dollar in the system beyond the physical currency is a debt that someone owes to a bank. Think about that. Your salary, the money in your account, a huge portion of it only exists because someone somewhere is paying interest on a loan. If they default, that money effectively disappears from the system. And here's where it gets darker. The system requires debt to grow. It requires perpetual growth. Why? Because every loan has interest attached. If a bank creates $1 million in loans with 5% interest, it has created $1 million in the economy. But it's also created a requirement for $1,050,000 to exist to pay it back. Where does that extra $50,000 come from? More loans, more debt. It's a cycle that needs constant expansion to function. It's not a bug, it's a feature. The people who created this system understood that most people would rather feel rich living in debt than feel poor being free. They engineered a culture where debt is normal. And the statistics are insane. The average American household now carries over $154,000 in debt. And that's just households. The US national debt surged past $37 trillion in 2025, and most people think it's their own fault. They think they're not good with money, but they're not bad with money. They're just playing a game where the rules were written by people who win when they lose. You might be thinking, okay, the system is designed for debt, but I could still opt out, right? I could just not participate. And technically, you're right, you could. But the system has built-in layers of psychological hooks to make sure most of us never even try. First, there's the status effect. Money isn't just for survival anymore. It's about signaling that you've made it. And the system has made sure the way you signal that is by consuming expensive things. The house, the car, the phone that costs more than a month's rent. You aren't born wanting these things with this intensity. You are trained to want them through ads, social media, the people around you, and the most genius part, this system lets you have them before you can afford them. That's what debt is. It's time travel for consumption. You get to feel rich today and you pay for it for the next 30 years. But here's what's terrifying. While you're paying, you can't afford to take risks. You can't quit the job you hate. You can't start a business. You're trapped, not in chains, in comfort. The people at the top of the system rely on this. They know that people with debt are predictable and controllable. But here's something that might surprise you. Money is a lovely thing. It is a statement of abundance, not scarcity. Only people with money forget about money. Take this moment, for example. You don't think about oxygen. Why? Because you have plenty of it. You are breathing in and you are breathing out. You don't spend a second thinking about it. But the minute, let's say you're underwater and you're running out of air, you're running out of oxygen, guess what? The only thing you can think about is air, oxygen. When you have plenty of something, you don't have to think about it. It's very difficult to not think about money and care about money when you don't have any. When you are worried about paying the bills, when you are worried about your credit card debt, when you are worried about paying your rent, you have to think about it. It occupies your mind. It restricts your ability to do other things and focus on other areas of your life. You see, money gives you the ability to love, to give, to express yourself, to be more, to do more, to uplift others. So love money, love your family, love yourself, love helping people. There is nothing wrong with that. You can love everything else, including money. Now, let me show you how the other half lives. The people who actually understand money. They don't use debt the way you do. They use it as a tool. Here's the difference. When you borrow money, you borrow to consume. You buy a car, take a vacation, your debt goes up, but your assets stay the same. When a wealthy person borrows money, they borrow to invest. They buy a property, start a business, purchase stocks. Their debt goes up, but their assets go up faster. And here's the magic. The interest they pay is often tax deductible. So while you're paying interest with after-tax dollars, they're using a tax advantage to fund their investments. It's the same tool, but when you use it, it enslaves you. When they use it, it enriches you. The people at the top of the system also create financial products designed to confuse you and extract fees. Overdraft fees, annual percentage rates that are high sky, credit card minimums designed to keep you paying interest forever. It's not complicated by accident. It's complicated on purpose. Because when you don't understand the system, you blame yourself when you fail within it. And when you blame yourself, you don't get angry at the system. But here's where it gets really interesting. Money moves to those who understand it the most. How much do you understand money? Think of the language you're speaking right now. How long did it take you to learn this language? How many years you spent learning, writing, and speaking the language you're speaking right now? How much time you spent learning about computer or the internet? Now the question is, how much focused education did you get about money when you were growing up? How much time did you spend learning about how money works, how to make money, and how to create wealth as an adult? Do you speak the language of money, which is accounting? Do you understand these words? Words such as retained earnings, return on investments, depreciation, cost of goods sold, accounts payable, accounts receivable. All these words, that's what made up the language of money. If you're like me, I basically got zero education growing up when it comes to how money works. How do you make it? How do you keep it? How do you invest it? How do you multiply it? I got zero mentoring in all these areas. And here's the thing that really gets me. How can you understand a language? How do you master a language when you don't even understand the words? You first have to understand the words. Then you can master the language. Then you can use the language. But first, you have to understand how money works so you can become a master of money. This is where compound interest becomes the most powerful force in finance. Not on your debt, on their assets. If you invest $10,000 at a 10% annual return, after 40 years, you have over $450,000. But here's the catch. You need money first to invest. And the system ensures most people are too busy servicing debt to ever get there. The wealthy often start with generational wealth. That gives them a head start. By the time they're 30, their assets are already generating income. Meanwhile, the average person is just starting to get ahead in their fifths, right? As they need to prepare for retirement. The math was never meant to be in your favor. But here's something that might blow your mind. Money goes to those who know how to circulate it. Now, whenever there's a contraction in the economy, what does the government tell you? You go out there and you what? Spend money. Go. Spend money, consume. Hire that new employee. Go start that new business. Make that investment. Go on that trip. Buy that car. They want you to spend because it keeps money circulating. So money goes to those who know how to circulate it. In terms of business, go open that new office, expand. That's how you keep billions and billions and billions of dollars going. And that's how you create momentum in the economy. Same thing in sales. A salesperson could circulate money because they are making money move. Without them, that sale would not be there. The goods and services, that transaction would not take place. Now, here's the final secret, and it's arguably the most important one. Money moves to those who know how to multiply it. I want you to look at the richest people in the world. Some of the richest people in the world, they are money managers. They are investors. Now, why do people throw money at them? Because they know how to multiply money. They know how to generate good returns for their investors. It's very simple. Once you know how to multiply money, you don't have to chase money. Money chases you. I remember back then when I was a teenager, when I was asking the bank to give me a credit card for $1,000, and they wouldn't give that to me. Why? Because back then, I didn't know how money works. I didn't know how to multiply money. They wouldn't even give me a credit card, a limit of $1,000. And now the banks call me and say, hey, do you need a loan? Do you want to buy a building? Do you want to expand your business? We're more than happy to give you a huge line of credit unsecured. Why? Because they know I know how to multiply money now. But here's what I want you to understand. Knowing how the system works doesn't magically free you from it, but it does something far more important. It lets you stop blaming yourself for being trapped in it. And that changes everything. Because once you understand the game, you can start to choose differently. Not perfectly. You can decide you don't need to signal wealth you don't have. You can decide you don't need to consume what you can't afford. You can't opt out of the system entirely, but you can opt out of participating in it the way it wants you to. You probably won't become a billionaire, but you could build a life where money serves you instead of the other way around. And that isn't nothing. That's everything. The first step to changing any game is finally learning the rules. And you just learned the most important rule of all. The system isn't broken or unfair because of some cosmic mistake. It's designed exactly this way on purpose. And now that you understand why, you can stop playing the victim and start making different choices. So I want you to rate yourself, be honest based on what we just covered. Number 1, do you talk about money openly or avoid the topic? Number 2, do you love money or does thinking about money stress you out? Number 3, do you understand how money actually works or do you just guess? Number 4, do you know how to circulate money so it creates value or do you just spend it? And number 5, do you know how to multiply money or does money just drain away from you? Give yourself a rating, 0 being horrible, 10 being fantastic. That tells you exactly why you're where you are financially and what you need to do to fix it. Because here's the crazy part. Most people will watch this video, nod along, understand everything I'm saying, and then go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. They'll go back to the same patterns, the same choices, the same results, but not you. Because now you know what's actually happening. Now you understand the invisible architecture that determines whether you build wealth or spend your life trapped in the system. So now you know how money really works. The question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? That's up to you. If you found this eye-opening or want to explore more untold truths about finance, hit that subscribe button below. There are new videos every week breaking down the systems that shape your life. And the more you know, the better your chances to win at this game. That next episode might just be the one that changes everything for you. So don't miss it. Thanks for watching.